And finally, a U.S. federal judge has called for the return of firing squads as a method of execution following a recent string of botched lethal injections. Alex Kozinski labeled the lethal injection method as a dishonest attempt to disguise the brutal nature of capital punishment. Kozinski justifies his distaste for lethal injections, claiming the method is hampered by drug shortages. He insists that firing squads would never be troubled by a lack of guns or ammunition. The chief judge also said the guillotine is probably the best method, but seems inconsistent with national ethos. Kozinski's comments come after the botched lethal injection of Arizona.
People generally forget the mistakes of the past. Citizens who were caught up in Hitler's Nazi Germany hardly noticed the gradual development of extremism, mainly due to high emotions and dazzling propaganda. But history often repeats itself. Plastic coffins, detention centres, armoured checkpoints and armoured military vehicles for civil purposes are well-documented facts, and witnesses who have worked for the United States military claim stores of guillotines located in Fort Lewis military facility. The latest revelation of Obamacare sanctions death by guillotine, code ICD 9E978. However, Obama was only following the mandate of the World Health Organization, one of the specialized agencies under the United Nations. Is the United States government getting ready for a fascist quasi-dictatorship involving forced religion? It would not be the first time that fascism and counterfeit Christianity have merged.
Good evening, everybody. President Obama and British Prime Minister Gordon today calling for a new world order to tackle our global economic crisis.
It's been a long time coming, but tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
All right, folks, there's a lot going on right now. Decisions being made that are unprecedented and will have an overreaching impact on what it means to live in the United States of America. Both the Senate and the House of Representatives have just overwhelmingly passed the National Defense Authorization Act. Squeezed into this military funding bill are two provisions that give the military not just lots and lots of money, but lots and lots of power as well.
A new generation of surveillance drones could soon be watching us all. The Federal Aviation Administration is expected to announce plans to expand the use of domestic drones in American airspace.
Well, get ready to look up at the sky and see drones hovering above. As of now, unmanned aircraft could only be used by military airspace and by certain law enforcement agencies. But this week, Congress passed a bill that would allow for commercial and private use of the drones.
I have two words for you: predator drones. You will never see it coming. You think I'm joking?
For shopping and dining over Thanksgiving and maybe watching some football games, big government Republicans and Democrats were busy shredding the last vestiges of the Constitution. Senators John McCain and Carl Levin want to enact a law that would declare the entire United States of America a battlefield for the military. They're talking about inserting the Army into domestic law enforcement. Senator Lindsey Graham, who supports this bill, says, quote, "The homeland is part of the battlefield, and people can be held without trial, whether an American citizen or not."
The Department of Homeland Security buying ammunition, now looking to purchase another 21 million rounds of ammunition. This in addition, of course, to the 1.6 billion rounds that Homeland Security has bought in just the past 10 months. Now, to put all of this in perspective, the military used approximately 70 million rounds each year of the Iraq War. 70 million rounds in a war.
If you look at what the Department of Homeland Security has been purchasing over the last year, it comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition, more than 7,000 fully automatic assault weapons, 2,700 MRAP type vehicles, and now drones. Those are instruments of war. Department of Homeland Security's, who are they going to fight a war against?
Something happened.
Robert Whitaker,
Tactical Supervisor for El Paso SRT for Homeland Security Investigations. Well, we have our big vehicle out here. It's an armored vehicle. It's an MRAP vehicle. It's mine resistant, ambush protected is what it stands for. This is what we use to deliver our team to high-risk warrant services.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order.
Important breaking news out of Boston. A pair of bombings rocked the finish line at the historic Boston Marathon.
It was never meant that we would have this gigantic police force from the federal government. I mean, we had martial law up there, FBI and all these agents coming in, closing things down, going to people's houses. Do we close down cities because there's 10 murders over the weekend in Chicago? We don't do that. But here we close down a whole city, not even allowed to go to a baseball game. I mean, I think it's very, very scary when I look at some of those pictures.
The military likes to perform war games, so that's why we're seeing military on the streets practicing. They are actually practicing. The tanks that we see on the streets and the National Guard patrolling neighborhoods and the practices that they're doing with our local police department, this is all in preparation for martial law, so that when they do actually lock down the country, they've got everything secured.
But I think what we're starting to see, for anybody who is objective at all, is we're seeing a totalitarian system now unveil itself. And ever since essentially 9/11 happened, it's been more and more of these draconian measures that are leading us right down the road to martial law.
Particularly to hear President Obama claim the power to keep people in prison indefinitely with no charges against them, no conviction, no sentence, just imprisonment. It's particularly stunning to hear him make that claim in the middle of a speech that was all about the rule of law.
This last week, the U.S. Congress passed a bill which repeals posse comitatus, which means that we have now institutionalized and codified martial law. Right now, the battle against terrorism involves all of us. Everybody in this country is a potential terrorist.
We don't even understand freedom anymore. We are a country that is headed towards socialism, totalitarianism, beyond your wildest imagination. I have to tell you, I'm doing a story tonight that I wanted to debunk these FEMA camps. I'm tired of hearing. You know about them? Sure. I'm tired of hearing them. I wanted to debunk them. Well, we've now for several days done research on them. I can't debunk them.
I don't know anything about them.
It is our government. If you trust our government, it's fine. If you have any kind of fear that we might be headed towards a totalitarian state, look out, buckle up. There's something going on in our country that is ain't good.
And they find a little red dot or a little blue dot on their mailbox, and they wonder what the little red dot and blue dot is. Well, it's marking your mailbox by the government, so when foreign troops come in here on us after martial law, but if you have a blue dot, they take you to the FEMA camps being built by Halliburton right now to house 50 million Americans. They're building enough concentration camps in America by Halliburton. So I'm going to tell all of you, if you have not bought ammunition, if you have not bought guns, go get them now. Go get them now, because you won't be able to get them much longer.
Change has come to America.
Practice Christianity and you could be court-martialed. That could be the new law of the land for our armed forces, thanks to a proposal by a religious tolerance group that claims Christian evangelists are predators.
Is a war on religious liberty within the military, and that the Christianity of service members is now coming under attack by the Obama administration.
These two workers have microchips.
Right. Well, this is very, very real, and these microchips are about the size of a grain of rice. They get injected into your skin.
Film. Humans injected with a tiny chip holding the key to all of their private information.
But as you're about to see in our CBS 46 investigation, it's not fiction. In fact, it's being marketed in Georgia as life-saving technology. Life-saving technology.
We have a Florida family who are really pioneers in a brave new world. They have volunteered to be the first ever to have microchip identification devices implanted into their body.
It is the first implantable microchip for humans. It has multiple security, financial, and healthcare applications.
One thing I would just suggest, I'm just an outside, soon-to-be investor. I love this idea, by the way, Scott. I think this...
The Northside Independent School District in San Antonio has put tracking chips in the ID badges for more than 4,000 high school students.
Well, it looks and sounds like something out of the future, but a new palm scanning device will help Bossier Parish schools keep better track of what children are eating at. The electronic device will be implemented at all Bossier Parish schools.
And now we're seeing a complete totalitarian takeover of the United States of America. Now, we've been talking about this for years now. This is the police state. This is the police state. This is what a total breakdown of our society looks like. But we're seeing all of this intensify. This is all intensifying around the Second Amendment. Should we be able to own guns or not? Let's take guns away from the people. These are very big, very hardcore issues.
No matter what your purpose is, you must leave. If you do not disperse, you may be arrested and or subject to other police action. The use of riot control agents and or less lethal munitions, which could cause risk of injury to those who
now moving in.
American, every person on United States soil or international soil can be deemed as a terrorist. If they have really any reason to want to detain you, they don't need to acknowledge your Fourth Amendment rights.
It's what supported things like the Patriot Act and now the NDAA and the ever-encroaching police state.
By order of the City of Pittsburgh Chief Police, I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately disperse. You must leave the immediate vicinity.
Urban military training exercises are becoming an increasingly common sight in many U.S. cities. The Department of Homeland Security has spent the past year acquiring more than 1 billion rounds of high-performance ammunition. Do these developments suggest concerns over a potential terrorist attack? Are they preparations for widespread social upheaval? Is there perhaps something even more sinister underway? There's an insider at the Department of Homeland Security who described urban warfare training as, quote, desensitizing exercises all across the U.S., adding that, quote, we're being prepared for mass civil unrest in major U.S. cities. DOD will be expected to help.
People in the Congress are going to support it. And that message calls for new frontiers, new visions. It calls for us taking the steps now that will make us no longer second in space and in science. It lays the predicate and the foundation for a space communication satellite that will permit the people of the world to see one television program at the same time throughout the world. Think about that kind of communication and think about the opportunity that will provide. It lays the predicate and the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world. It lays the predicate for the steps necessary to send a man to the moon.
This is your call right now. Perfect hurricane.
To take them to a nearby Walmart.
As you can see, this is a Walmart disaster response team.
Many people, it's got to be dozens of people in the back of that thing. They take them to a nearby Walmart.
Hello, I make this video not a happy man. I'm at the neighborhood Walmart in San Jose, California. This is what it has become. I did not want to believe it, but it's happening. Does this look like your friendly neighborhood Walmart to you?
And then the Walmart is where, I guess, metro buses or school buses will take them to the shelter. The question is, what shelter are they taking them to?
I'm not allowed to go past this line, actually, because the security guard told me if I do, it links up to the San Jose Police Department, and they will come here and arrest me.
You know, what this has turned into is a humanitarian crisis here.
That's kind of weird for a Walmart.
Simply take a realpolitik approach and suggest that, if we just cut some deals with Russia.
Are there enough shelters? What about food? What about clothing? What about...
even if it hurts people, or even if it violates international norms, or even if...
It's only going to get worse.
It leaves smaller countries vulnerable.
That perfect hurricane machine.
Because where do all these people go?
No. Anyone who knows anything about jail or anything about that knows what this is. That is a holding area.
Militarized vehicles with the United Nations logo have been spotted recently throughout the United States, and we continue to see the military equipment moved across the United States, Europe, and Asia. The U.S. military and National Guard reserves has been readied for some sort of action.
And with the weather event, we can't just fly helicopters in. We can't get to people right now until the weather subsides because we can't put our own resources in danger.
This might sound crazy, but there are many people who intuitively feel that something big is going to happen.
We can't put our own resources in danger.
The next step of the Illuminati is to begin full-scale civil unrest that will lead to martial law inside the US and in Europe, which is needed to collapse the US dollar and to start a direct confrontation against Russia and China.
You talk about that culture of preparedness. There is what some people call hurricane amnesia after these 12 long years of not having a storm of this size.
Is that what they were doing? They were preparing for these things?
As far as the next few days, this is the official track from the National Hurricane Center. You can see we still have a few days to prepare.
I'd like to say something about the current climate of repression and fear. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. That's from the First Amendment to the Constitution.
Sure, your opinion will not go unnoticed.
Simpsons, you're under arrest for the violation of the Government Knows Best Act. Good day. I don't care. Ah!
Well, where do you think we are? Can't believe they put us in jail. It's not a jail. It's a re-education center.
Let's see, after they blindfolded us, it was left, right, left, then a 3-hour plane ride.
Well, we're not the only ones to be unjustly imprisoned. Check out all the left-wing celebrities.
Bill Clinton, what are you doing here?
I call the Republican tax cuts unwise, and I stand by it. They're unwise.
You like that, Clinton? You traitors, pipe down. You're all here because you hate freedom.
Your crazy cousin, Bill O'Reilly. Lisa, that's not funny. You believe in the Bill of Rights.
I don't know whether it's the lack of sleep, the sodium pentothal, or that it's the only cartoon I've seen in 2 months. But this is what I believe in now.
Simpsons, you're under arrest for the violation of the Government Knows Best Act.
Convergence of globalization and technology has created a new brand of terrorism. There were persons who, for whatever reason, came to view their home country as the enemy.
This resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the United States Constitution. Let's be clear about that.
Kind of right-wing, religious-based domestic terrorism.
It is essentially a declaration of international martial law.
Disturbing news tonight about homegrown terror.
A sweeping transfer of military power to the president that will allow him or her to send U.S. troops almost anywhere in the world.
Part of this is big change in the White House, a new cultural experience, and some of the crazies are coming out of their closet.
For almost any reason with absolutely no limitations.
Right now, it looks like there is no connection between the men arrested and any known terrorist cell. Homegrown. Homegrown, I should say.
Folks, we've got a very serious situation here. I'm holding what is called the right-wing extremism, current economic and political climate, fueling resurgence and radicalization and recruitment. And in it, we talked about the fact that they define pro-lifers as domestic terrorists. They put this in a Department of Homeland Security document, this official assessment, now saying pro-lifers, people that believe in end-time prophecies, people that are opposed to the administration's position on immigration, those of us that are standing up for the sanctity of life and for the sanctity of marriage, all of those are now potential, and this is what they're saying, domestic terrorists.
It's a terrorist next door that could be our bigger threat.
They call people who believe in the sanctity of life, who believe in owning firearms, who believe in serving their country in the military and coming back, who are very concerned about the policies that this nation is embarking on, spending too much money, taxing too much. It's all listed right here. These are the domestic right-wing extremists.
It's not a jail. It's a re-education center. I don't know whether it's the lack of sleep, the sodium pentothal, or that it's the only cartoon I've seen in 2 months. But this is what I believe in now.
The National Weather Service says that parts of Texas might be uninhabitable for weeks, even potentially months after the hurricane. Are you prepared? Is FEMA prepared to be there for months on end?
Remember with the FEMA cancer we were talking about? This event is real that they caused, and there's real people suffering, and you're not looking and you're not seeing that part. Only seeing on the mainstream media, all you're seeing is a bunch of mocking.
FEMA's going to be there for years. This disaster is going to be a landmark event. We're already pushing forward forces to be on the ground.
So let's go take a look at what they did to this neighborhood Walmart. And the way it's set up to you is perfect. Look at, they got a security, why would you have a security camera right here? Why is this needed? What? This obviously looks like some sort of an entrance that they're gonna have you coming in and out of. I mean, come on. Oh God, just come on. Look at this.
Mr. President, honored delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control. We shall propose, finally, a global systems of communication satellites linking the whole world in telegraph and telephone and radio and television. The day need not be far away when such a system will televise the proceedings of this body to every corner of the world for the benefit of peace.
Kennedy was talking about weather control with confidence. In April of the previous year, the TIROS satellite had been launched from Cape Canaveral and equipped with solar power to send back images of cloud formations. The national press announced that TIROS, quote, opens up new vistas for weather forecasting and control, unquote. But developments in weather control had already been underway. In 1958, the military announced success with weather modification by sending powerful electromagnetic beams into the upper atmosphere using ionospheric heaters like the one at HAARP today.
Many believe HAARP was created and has been used for weather control with enough juice to trigger hurricanes, tornadoes and earthquakes, and comments such as this bring about the question of whether conspiracy theorists are more on target than anyone has admitted to date. This is not the first time a public official has acknowledged that HAARP and weather control is not only possible, but has been and continues to be used as a superweapon, as evidenced by a statement in 1997 by former U.S. Defense Secretary William Cohen, where he said others, terrorists, are engaging even in an eco-type of terrorism whereby they can alter the climate, set off earthquakes, volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves. So there are plenty of ingenious minds out there that are at work finding ways in which they can wreak terror upon other nations. It is real, and that is the reason why we have to intensify our counter-terrorism efforts. Is it still just a conspiracy theory if public officials admit it is true?
Los Angeles is dealing with the biggest wildfire in the city's history.
Hundreds of residents are being forced to evacuate their homes.
California's governor has declared a state of emergency, with several other large wildfires burning on the state's west coast.
The western U.S. is being hit by another type of natural disaster, wildfire.
The sheer numbers are staggering. 100 fires in total, around 80 of them considered large.
In 9 western states. Did you get that? 75 fires in 9.
Can you also talk about, last week saw virtually unprecedented floods across South Asia.
Eagle Creek fire has charred some 30,000 acres in the heart of Oregon's scenic Columbia River Gorge.
Jennifer, it's hard to wrap your head around this. Again, really hard to find the words to describe this. We're talking about this luscious, pristine green gorge now turning orange and red, billowing black smoke.
Like nothing I've ever, really ever seen.
I knew there was fires going on, but I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it is right now. I didn't realize the whole town was going to be shut down, which is kind of spooky.
That glowing smoke just rolling and billowing into the sky.
I haven't seen one this big. I've seen a lot of them, but I've not seen one this big.
Here on this side, it is literally...
And it really is even just hard to find the words to describe this. A true hell on earth, almost apocalyptic looking, the glow from those flames.
Altogether, the state's wildfires have scorched more than 1,000 square miles. That's about 1/3 of all the land burning across the United States.
Whether it's the floods down in Houston, or Hurricane Irma that's threatening Florida, wildfires across the west, or extreme drought on the plains,
we're still struggling to fully comprehend its aftermath.
After one of the heaviest downpours in U.S. history, the storm is generating an amount of rain that would normally be seen only once in more than 1,000 years.
Mother Nature is angry. We've never seen the kind of damage, the biblical flooding.
But the number of natural disasters has nearly quadrupled since 1970.
Harvey hit Texas with Old Testament wrath, a deluge along the state's Gulf Coast.
First of all, we've never seen 2 Category 4 plus, that would be Harvey at 4 and Irma at 5, smote into the United States of America in 1 year.
So that's enough energy that it pulled the ocean out from the land.
And it was like that for almost half a day.
Dogs playing where it's normally feet deep.
This is normally entirely underwater.
This video from the Bahamas went viral, showing a normally sapphire sea gone as far as the eye can see.
This has been a once-in-a-lifetime tidal event.
The force of the approaching hurricane is so strong that despite all this ocean spray, it's actually sucked a lot of the water out of Sarasota Bay.
This was the headline in Barbuta's main newspaper today, Destruction Unreal. This was Barbuda before Irma hit, as you can see, just lovely. This is Barbuda today. The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda says that Barbuda is now barely habitable.
And last year alone, 24.2 million people were displaced by sudden onset disasters, 3 times as many as by conflict and violence.
Hard as it is to believe, another hurricane is heading right toward Barbuda right now. Hurricane Jose, it's
And then the news this morning, Mexico has been dealt with a deadly 1-2 punch, with Hurricane Katia making landfall overnight as a Category 1 storm on the eastern Gulf Coast, one day after an 8.1 earthquake struck the country's southern Pacific.
Shows how the earthquake caused violent shaking inside an office building. Mexico's president.
I've experienced many earthquakes, but nothing like this.
And just as the hurricane season gears up to batter the other side of the country, the strongest earthquake in modern history may just be the beginning of a very difficult end to 2017.
This is, nature is unleashed. She's drawing all her energy, these hurricanes. 37 consecutive hours of 185 miles per hour. We've never seen anything like that.
Over the past 10 years, we've seen 100-year storms every few years. We've seen hurricanes repeatedly besiege the Gulf and East Coast. Historic droughts are becoming common, and water shortages are routine. Unprecedented disasters are becoming the new normal.
Our first glimpse of the blackened, still smoky crust the fire left on some land here in southern Alberta. The fire started with a lightning strike 2 weeks ago and has since exploded in size.
The yellow, otherworldly haze is because of several large wildfires that are burning in southern Canada and the northern Rockies.
The skies glow orange at night as the flames burn on. Families wake up to ash on their windshields.
Like a sunset almost, evening light in the middle of the day. It was pretty strange.
It was kind of a unique surprise when we woke up today and the sky had this amber glow. Just made everything look a little bit surreal.
People in Oregon and Washington are reporting ash fall from the forest fires on a scale comparable to what happened when Mount St. Helens erupted.
It's like being in hell, to tell you the truth. It's like being in hell. It's surreal. It seems like the province of British Columbia is burning up right now.
A ball of light is shooting across the sky.
That bright light splashing across the sky in British Columbia rattled those who saw it.
But there are also reported sightings from Saskatchewan, as well as Washington, Idaho, and even as far as Montana.
Landed around 200 kilometers west of Calgary.
Era Paulito,
Science forecasting a dramatic rise in both the frequency and severity of disasters.
The more wicked these storms around America and planet Earth are going to become.
The picture's almost apocalyptic. Nature is also taking a devastating toll elsewhere.
The pictures that are emerging from right across the region in Nepal and India and Bangladesh are absolutely devastating.
One country, Bangladesh. A third of Bangladesh is underwater.
The monsoon rains are becoming more intense, stronger and more devastating year upon year.
And from one weather extreme to another, in California, residents there are feeling the heat. This week alone, thousands of lightning bolts lit up the sky in the southern part of the state, sparking more fires. More than 40,000 lightning bolts have flashed across the Southern California sky this week.
all within a 24-hour period. The Golden State has been in the middle of a record-breaking heat wave, leaving climate scientists scratching their heads.
I've never seen it rain this hard at the beach. It's pouring.
And it's about to get way worse.
Oh, oh, wow. Oh, look at that. Oh my God. Holy moly.
Part of this crazy weather system, a quick-moving storm left quite the destruction as it rolled through Santa Barbara.
Others sought refuge in stores.
Oh my God.
Just look at these terrifying images.
Things were literally just zooming by. Big shingles, fences, chairs, trash cans.
And yeah, it was quite a scene. I don't remember ever seeing a storm quite like that.
We're out boating on Lake Powell yesterday, got a nasty surprise as a microburst.
Yeah, the people who boat around there say they're used to keeping an eye out for changing conditions. What blew through yesterday, though, they said was way more violent than usual.
She said she's never seen anything like what happened there yesterday.
We're here every year, and I've never seen a storm that bad.
She shot video on her phone as the microburst blew across the lake, throwing waves up against the houseboat she was on.
Video of lightning in the Santa Clarita Valley. We got a number of videos from viewers showing the same sight in areas like Lancaster, Palmdale, and into the San Fernando Valley.
What's that? It's like a lightning. Whoa.
It all showed a massive cloud with lightning moving through. So many strikes inside that it almost looked like one of those lightning ball toys.
As I speak here, there are 1.5 million acres ablaze across Oregon, Washington, California, Idaho, Montana, Colorado, Wyoming, Nevada, and Utah. This year is virtually guaranteed to be the worst fire season in history.
In Montana, multiple wildfires.
A different natural disaster. It's ravaging the great state of Montana. In every corner of our state, Montana has felt the impacts of wildfires. Montana, we're experiencing a historic drought.
A serious drought has swept southern Europe this summer. Some farmers in Italy and Spain are predicting the worst crop yields in 20 years.
In the Vatican, for the first time ever, they've already shut down the fountains in solidarity.
Including those in St. Peter's Square because of Italy's drought. Flash flooding has swamped the Italian city of Livorno, killing at least 6 people after 400 millimeters of rain fell in just 4 hours. The mayor has accused the government.
An out-of-control bushfire has forced the evacuation of staff from the Navy base at Jervis Bay.
As we go to air tonight, there are more than 120 fires burning, including one on the south coast at emergency level.
Temperature has dramatically plunged, but tonight fires are still burning. And now there's a new problem. Wild westerlies have grounded up to 100 flights at Sydney Airport.
The danger, of course, is the fact that all of this is happening and it's only mid-September.
Thawad.
Scientists have successfully restarted the Large Hadron Collider in an attempt to make history for the second time. 3 years ago, the Huge Particle Smasher uncovered the Higgs boson, an elementary particle that gives other particles mass. Now they hope a more powerful version of the collider might discover dark matter and even extra dimensions in space.
So this morning I'm going to preach you a message about something that is happening right now while you're sitting in this auditorium. It's in CERN, Switzerland. Now you may not be aware of what's going on over there, but there's a thing over there that's called a Large Hadron Collider, and it is an accelerator. It accelerates particles and then brings them to the point of collision. So this Large Hadron Collider was started up just a few days ago and is still in the initial process of being brought online completely. You say, what in the world does something like that have to do with me and the Bible? It has a lot to do with you and the Bible. This is 2015. The church is dead and asleep. The only crowds you have in this country today are the crowds that are pumped up by rock and rap, and it's all about love, self-love, and positive attitudes, and money and me, myself and I. I'm in love with me. I'm in love with myself, and I'm in love with I. And your wife says, "I know you are," and that's why I'm leaving. That's the truth. You ought to write a book about 15 ways to love yourself. It'd sell like you wouldn't believe. Absolutely. That's all it is. It's a joke. Just a big joke. You know that. It's just a big joke. All right. You've got the people to the point to where they can be moved emotionally, not intellectually, but emotionally. Anything stirs people today. They got crowd mentality. They got mob mentality. Can you imagine something that has created earthquakes? That has made apparitions appear, that you've got scientists warning, don't do this. You don't know what you're going to unleash. Maybe there's a greater purpose in all of that they're not even aware of. He's called Satan. Maybe he intends to bring chaos on this earth. Chaos. And you know the old thing, how does it go? What's the term? Order out of chaos. The earth is in a turmoil, and it's blazing and burning, and then the peacemaker shows up. To fit into the great deception that's coming, and it's about here right now. I mean, a deception like this world has never known before. To fit into this great deception, they can sure draw these men in to make them think that because they have reached this certain point in their scientific analysis, that they're bringing in these spirit beings. It'll make true believers out of them. NASA said just a few days ago, that by the year 2020, that we will definitely come in contact with aliens, beings from another planet. Now we're talking about scientists. We're talking about Darwin's crowd. We're talking about the crowd that threw the Bible out and said it's old, archaic, anachronistic. It doesn't belong today. We're talking about that bunch. We're too smart for the Bible. We're scientists. Yet this crowd is saying that in just a few years that they're going to know that they're going to come in contact with alien beings. I thought to myself, my. Do you boys, have you always known that you've got a certain date set? But we were told when Darwin's theory of evolution came out and became vogue that it would destroy the foundations of Christianity, and this old book that we hold in our hands, this old outdated Bible, would no longer be relevant, and a lot of people bought into it. Because after all, Darwin is scientific. But it's an amazing thing now that 150 years later, we have some of the greatest scientists in the world that are becoming very religious. Because here they've got Shiva, they've got dances to Shiva, and they are definitely being connected with Shiva as they're finding things. Let me give you one example. In one of their collisions, when they collided these particles together, they saw things. They were apparitions they didn't expect to see. They didn't fit in any model. They didn't fit anywhere. They don't belong. But they could not deny the reality of it. Something was going on inside there that they could not explain. And it was scary for them. For the scientist has his paper and his pencil and his books, and if it doesn't fit in his paper and his pencil and his books, it's out the window. They don't understand. They have a hard time accepting the fact that there is a spirit world out there. That spirit world was created by a spirit being, an almighty, eternal, absolute being that is from everlasting to everlasting, who put in me what I am today by the power of Almighty God and by the power of the new birth. I want you to think about what I'm saying. Stephen Hawking, a theoretical physicist, has warned these people, you are about to open Pandora's box. And once you open Pandora's box, you cannot put back in what came out of that box. Remember, he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in spirits. He believes that what they're liable to do here in CERN, Switzerland, is unleash the gates of hell on this earth. The reason I took you to Revelation is because in the 9th chapter of Revelation, what you just read, is the gate of hell. And what you think is an alien being is really a demon? Yeah. There are no aliens out there, folks. Forget that stuff, okay? There's nothing out there. There's nothing up there. All these UFOs, spacecraft, flying saucers, all this stuff, that's all demonic. It's real, but it's demonic. It's not real like we understand reality, but it's really real. It's demonic. I see a great deception beginning to develop. That in their analysis and in their laboratories that they believe in, that they've got their heart and soul tied up in, little things begin to show up, stuff that they can't explain, that sucks them in to begin to understand, well, maybe this is being affected, it's being acted upon by something that we don't understand completely. And this spirit being that comes from out there, that comes down to this world, they accept with open arms because they're willing to put Shiva out there dancing around in the cosmos and destroying and then bringing a new creation in. Here are these wise, smart, brilliant men, and they're willing to believe that there's something more than what can be measured in a microscope and can be put in a petri dish, that there's something going on, and you better believe there is. There's something going on. What would be a greater ruse than to use their science and their technology to suck them in to accepting some spirit being coming from somewhere up here, some alien, down to this earth, and do it through a collider over here. This is as high a technology I suppose you got on this earth. And do it through that, and bring it down upon this earth, and bring it into people. Now, here's one of the things about this. This antimatter is also called dark matter. And dark matter has energy attached to it. And the energy affects people. It affects them. And remember, when you produce antimatter, you got to contain it. Because if you don't contain it, you got to contain it. That's the biggest problem, containing it. Because if you don't contain it, it just goes wild. And they don't know what it's liable to do. Now, folks, go check me out. Go check me out. I want you to. Go check me out this afternoon and see what it says about antimatter. And it'll say, yes, you better contain it. Because you don't know what it's liable to do. But they do know this. From what they've experienced so far, it has an effect on people. Dark matter has an effect on people. It causes some people to go screaming mad. It controls people. It is an enormously powerful thing. It's pulling something out of hell that you don't want any part to do with and turning it loose on mankind. Now, you know, I don't know that I don't ever been in agreement with an atheist before, but I'm in agreement with this one. I and Mr. Hawking see it the same way. They better leave that stuff alone. The church is asleep, but the Lord's coming back. If I were 17, 18, 19 years old this morning, I'd be worried. I've lived 68 years. I'm ready to go meet the Lord. The Lord comes get me, I'm gone. But you young people coming up and you want to start a family, you want to have children, you got all your life in front of you by the grace of God. And to hear about something over here that they can produce 1 gram of it has the potential of 4 atomic bombs. Countries are building up their armament and so forth. Well, that's happening right now. It's happening right now. And that war is soon to come. There's going to come an Armageddon. There's coming an apocalypse. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. I hope you are. I hope you're ready to meet the Lord. How close could we be to the second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ? How close could we be? How close? The church is asleep, but the Lord's coming back.
In the 1980s, President Ronald Reagan gave a series of speeches basically saying that people of the earth would unite if faced by an out-of-this-world alien threat.
I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together. In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
At the time, nobody knew exactly what he meant, but they thought that he meant well. It wasn't until the 1990s when George H.W. Bush started to push the New World Order to the public that people began to understand the unity that Ronald Reagan spoke about.
Out of these troubled times, our 5th objective, a new world order, can emerge. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order. It is a big idea. A new world order. Such is a world worthy of our children's future. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order. And that's why I wanted to speak to you today about the new world taking shape around us. About the prospects for a new world order now within our reach. I'll be talking in some detail about the possibility of a new world order, the quest for the new world order. New world order. The new world order really is a tool for addressing a new world of possibilities.
It wasn't exactly the kind of unity that would benefit the masses, but the elite, as they would have us united under the control of a one-world government, a one-world religion, a one-world everything.
This is something I feel like, if I was the president, and it's unlikely that that is ever going to happen.
You never know.
If I was the president...
It was unlikely that I was going to be president.
The moment I was inaugurated, my hand would just, it'd still be hot from touching the Bible, and I would immediately race to wherever they have the files about Area 51 and the UFOs, and I go through everything to find out what happened.
Right.
Did you do that?
That's why you will not be president. Because that's the first thing that you would do.
The
aliens won't let it happen. You reveal all their secrets. They exercise strict control over us.
Now, you know, there are a lot of people that are going to examine your facial expressions here, every twitch, everything, and say, and of course, so did you look? Did you see? Did you explore?
I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really? Because President Clinton said he did go right in, and he did check, and there was nothing.
Well, you know, that's what we're instructed to say.
All right.
To kind of catapult the propaganda.
Whenever a mainstream scientist says anything about anything, there are millions upon millions of people willing to form their belief system around the statements of that scientist. So here we are in 2016, and when you look at any online poll as to whether aliens exist or not, the belief in aliens always wins by more than half. So we have passed the tipping point for critical mass, which perfectly sets the stage for a Project Bluebeam fake alien invasion. Even though what we call outer space is not what we think it is, and we have never been to the moon or past low Earth orbit for that matter, NASA admits this on numerous occasions while you're not even paying attention.
NASA's next spacecraft, already being built and tested across America, will do those things and more.
This is the spacecraft that's going to take humans to explore the solar system. It's the next big step for NASA in exploration.
Called the Orion Multipurpose Crew Vehicle, or MPCV, this next-generation spacecraft will enable America to explore beyond low Earth orbit.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
So this leads me to flat Earth, and why, if we knew the Earth is flat and enclosed by an impenetrable barrier, Project Bluebeam would not work. If we all understood the truth about where we live, most likely the belief in aliens would be very rare. But since they lie to us and would have us believe that there are billions of galaxies and billions of other planets, the belief in intelligent extraterrestrial life becomes the norm. Not only that, though, outer space and alien programming have been underway for... They've done a great job. We went from knowing that aliens don't exist to believing in aliens 100% without a shred of evidence. UFOs, on the other hand, are very real, unidentified flying objects. But all it is suppressed top-secret government and military technology. They will utilize these top-secret crafts to trick us into believing in an alien threat. They will also use holographic projections and something like the silent subliminal presentation system that can beam voices into our heads, which has already been patented for years now. Look it up. While you're at it, look at hologram technology that's already been used to show Michael Jackson on stage and even Tupac performing as well.
52. Avro Canada begins engineering a supersonic circular wing fighter bomber, essentially a flying saucer. In July 1954, the U.S. Air Force awards Avro $2 million to continue the project.
The Avro car was very weird. It was just the ideal flying saucer, a purely circular aeroplane with a sort of jet engine in the middle blowing downwards. Weapon System 606A of the U.S. Air Force.
The prototype Avro car flies in 1959. It is powered by 3 jet engines, engineered to fly at 300 miles per hour, and capable of climbing to an altitude of 10,000 feet.
Oh, yeah. We want to see things for the way they really are. Open our eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Lift it up, let me hear you. Open the eyes of my heart.
Take a look at this rare, super slow motion video of Flight 175 that hit the South World Trade Center tower on 9/11/2001. Take a really close look because there are two impossibilities I'm going to show you here. This video was allegedly shot by Michael Herzakani, a diamond merchant based in Los Angeles, California. The first impossibility is a real airplane couldn't have sliced through a building with a steel facade with reinforced concrete flooring and 47 steel support beams
A jet's wing can't slice through a steel building like a hot knife through butter. But that's the story the news media wants us to believe, and most people are still believing this hoax. But the second impossibility is in plain sight. In fact, I can't believe it took me over 12 years to see. Let me show you a still of this video. I've highlighted a building that's clearly behind the South World Trade Center tower. Yet when we pay close attention to the video, Flight 175's wing should appear in front of the building, not behind it. This is a layering CGI glitch.